I just got a missed call now from somebody. They gave a call from unknown.
Yeah, I did as well.
What do you want to do? Do you want to try and do it again on Google Hangout or?
Yeah.
We're all like getting it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear. Oh, I don't know why. Oh,
Dude,
answer.
did I get into this?
Okay. Yeah, I'm hanging up. That was painful.
Oh my god.
Leah coming?
Wait, are you guys on it?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just don't know where you are. Are you on?
Yeah.
Is Julie on?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just not Julia.
Yeah. I wonder. If there's like another way we can get her in here.
Maybe she's looking up a different email. I don't know.
Yeah, I just use like the Chrome app.
Yeah, I have to use the Chrome.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. This never got easier.
Yeah.
I figured it wasn't gonna.
With everybody's like connection and stuff like that, yeah.
Trying to see if I can like send an invite.
I know, I'm like, I feel like I can't invite anybody right now, but let me see. What's her Yahoo one?
Can you guys see me?
Woo! Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Jeez, you just popped out of nowhere.
Sorry, that was so weird. Mine just kept saying waiting and waiting, and then it finally went through.
I was like, I could hear you for a minute, but I just couldn't see you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right, I'm going to start the broadcast now.
Sweet. Well, it was just chapters 12 and 13 this week, so.
Yep, and we're live.
Okay.
Do you guys want to start with like the discussion questions?
Yeah, let's start with the chapter 12 one, because it was really only over like two main topics.
Yeah. What did you guys pick for like being most important, leader development or leadership development?
I said leader development just because I feel like it's described as like a lifelong goal, that it's something that you're like consistently working at, where like leadership I feel like is just like short-term goals, You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Of,
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
qualities and like maybe habits or like aspects like that you need to change. But like leader development is like developing as like a person, you know, so it
Yeah, I agree.
definitely takes a lot more time. Probably like constructive energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like leader development like promotes like personal growth, which you can take anywhere. It's not just like limited to a career. Whereas like the leadership development focused more on like the goals of like the company or like your job position, which is like kind of puts you in a box. I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
I said leadership too didn't really like when really
Did it freeze?
like,
Did anyone
it
else
would be better for the organization.
It froze. Sorry.
What did you say, Troy? Did you pick the same?
I said leader development just because it seems more multi-purposeful as well as can exist both professionally and personally.
Yeah.
Because the average person, and especially the average millennial, will change their job or their profession 9 times.
Mhm.
So like all of the skills you learn from one job as a leader or whatever position you're in, what should be able to transfer into whatever you do, regardless of occupation or whatever position you hold.
Yeah.
So I said leader development. I would identify with that more so than leadership.
Yeah. I feel like obviously like they both tie together a lot, but they also both like don't help build the type of like characteristics like the same ones as one another. But I think that's a good point. Just saying that the leadership development is definitely like more from like job to job. Like it has to deal with like a lot of constructive criticism, where like the leader development, like you're focusing on being a role model and like just have like more like internal like satisfaction than trying to like be approved by someone else.
Yeah, totally. It's a good point. I'm trying to open up check. Sorry, guys.
It seems like the leader development is more of a ongoing process. Like
Yeah,
there's never
for sure.
really a end to it. It seems.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. There was also like a spot in the book that talked about like taking charge.
Yeah.
I thought was like relevant. That could be like just not just in a career, but really in your life in general.
Yeah.
And it talked about like the cognitive, which is like learning about the organization and its culture, and then organizational, which is like developing a set of shared expectations. Which like the way they broke it down, I thought was kind of interesting. And then the interpersonal, which was like developing good working relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think is like important, like to network. I think, like it's important to get
Build
to know
that
who you
network.
work with.
Yeah.
Like developing key relationships, trying to like bridge the gap with people who are like in different positions. Like I said, I don't really work, but Sarah, you probably like have to deal with that a lot, like working at Starbucks because the supervisor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure like when somebody new comes in or somebody like when you're higher up, like they might feel, I don't know, like you're not on the same playing field. So I feel like bridging gaps and like developing those relationships goes a long way.
Yeah, because it definitely like when people see like aspects of a leader, like of someone like, oh, you should be a supervisor, or like, oh, you should try and get promoted. It's like, yes, you see qualities of like a leader in that person, but then that if that person does get like that promotion or that position, they have to be careful to like not blur the lines of being like over controlling, demanding to like ruin that relationship with the people that like wanted them in that position and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that kind of like feeds into the next point where it's like constructively analyzing the situation. So like discovering the assumptions and the values of like the role or the organization. Because it can be probably intimidating for somebody new to come in and then work with somebody above them, and they might assume like certain things about their manager or about somebody that's been there longer, and so it probably helps to kind of, I don't know, like dilute that with like just letting them know that everybody's like an equal and
Yeah.
yeah.
Takes everybody to make the store run. So
Yeah.
I feel like
I don't know.
and leader development are just way too similar. Like there's a very small distinction between the two that like even when I was reading both descriptions of each, felt like I was just reading different synonyms. Like they all just are interwoven within each other.
yeah, but like I think we made like one of the main points for them each, like really early on, is that like one of them is a long-term goal or role that you have to continuously work on to make like the bigger impacts. And then because it's like when it talks about being like an actual leader and learning how to teach other people and mentoring them and stuff like that, it's not like you could just like train someone on that and they're going to go in there and actually like, you know what I mean, help somebody. Like that is something that takes a while to like become a master at, or like make others. Yeah. So I feel like, cause like, yeah, you could pretty much say like, if you skim over it, yeah, they're the same thing, but it's those like little details that I feel like set them like largely apart.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like it's a lot of it's like
But
about
leadership. Like there's really not that much of a difference.
Yeah. The next chapter, the like question for it was a little more detailed. It wasn't so like minimal, or like there was more to kind of respond to in the chapter 13 question, what jobs you wanted after graduation, and like what you felt were like the top 3 crises that like correlated with what career you were hoping to get into. I don't know if we want to like kind of share what we wanted to do and what like crises we picked.
I like, because I kind of relate everything to my job now, especially like after reading over these crisis types. But like, I guess going into marketing and stuff like that, I could put in like perspective. But for mine, it was definitely public perception, product or service. Obviously, working in Starbucks, we don't want bad milk or anything like that. And then the last one I said was just probably like outside environment. I know that sounds weird, but like Starbucks is in like a lot of shopping malls and areas like that. So it's like I worked at locations where stores or restaurants next door like have caught on fire and we have to leave, or like we've had cars break down in our drive-through, which like causes, you know what I mean? There's just like a lot more than people think that happens. So I would say that was probably like our outside environment definitely like does come into play quite a bit. But
yeah, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, we've had like people break down in our drive-through and we're like, yay, we get to close the drive-through for like an hour.
Oh my gosh, that's so many angry customers.
And our drive-through fits like 12 cars. So I'm like, oh, everyone back up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which ones did you guys pick?
Dude, let me find mine really quick.
I like considered going into working at like a public school. Troy, I watched your video. I know your mom's like an assistant principal, I think, somewhere in Phoenix. I'm in Phoenix too, so I think it would be cool to work in a public school in Phoenix. But like Arizona sucks for public education, just education in general. So I mean, I think I like kind of considered what the like how good of a school I would work at, like if it had a good like standing in the ranking of like school districts or not. But I picked human resources, and like one of the things that fell under that was like workplace violence and shootings.
Yeah.
A sad reality. So I said, like a way to prepare for that would obviously just have like a plan in place. And I felt like people stayed more calm and focused when like they knew what to do when something like that arises. And then I picked economic because cash shortages, which is like a huge issue.
School funding.
School. So I picked that, and then I also picked public perception because like right now we're looking at to buy a house, but we have to consider like our son's school district. So there's a website called School Digger, and it rates like schools 1 through 10, and like you can see like if it's mainly
Doesn't it
Hispanic
rate,
or
like, the
white or black,
neighborhood?
like break down ethnicities. It's really cool, but
That's
I think
crazy.
like that's something you have to consider, because if you have a horrible rating on like this website, then the public obviously is going to view your school as poorly. So you have to consider that.
Mhm.
So those are my 3.
What about
I
you
feel like
guys?
Alex and I are going to have relatively similar ones if we both kind of went towards a music route.
Yeah.
But I definitely went with one at the most would be public perception, just because there's people
That social
associate
aspect.
an artist with both their work and them in their personal life, and how those things intertwine, and if you agree or like or dislike that artist as a person can definitely create less music revenue and less streams, and negative stories can put artists out of work like overnight. So to me, that would be the biggest crisis as a musician. But then there's also with like economics, that would be more so if you're having an issue with, like, if you're a recording artist signed to a major label and that label is not like if they're taking most of the money that you're making, if you weren't smart about what you were signing up for contractually, like even like a good example, like TLC, they had one of the biggest careers for girl groups of all time in the United States, and when at the peak of their fame, they were completely broke as a band because their label was making all the money. So that would be something that I would fear as someone that would want to be signed to a label. And then another thing would be human resources, because if you are signed in with a label, they do have human resources for each record label, but because the music industry is very there's a very big divide between people that are, the top 1% making most of the money, and then the struggling artists. People do those types of like things that they don't say they would in order to have a career, and people that are in that position of power take advantage of artists that will do what is necessary to have a career. Which is an incredible HR violation for sure. So, yeah, those are the 3 that I thought were the most relevant. I kind of flirted with the idea of making transportation one of them, just because as a musician, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
And in big tour buses, which tend to like not be as reliable as like a normal car with less parts to it. So that was another one that I thought I was going to put, but didn't feel that was as important as the other crisis.
Yeah,
So,
I see that.
Yeah, I did public perception as well. Kind of same thing you just said. I kind of related it to like public perception. Like I'm out in Orange County here, and like out of just like the small clique of like musicians out here that we all kind of know, like I don't know, if you have like a bad perception, even just like local musicians and whatnot, like, oh, like I'd love to work with this guy, like what do you know about him? And one person's like, oh, like guy does not show up on time, that's it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're pretty much out of work. What else did I do? I did economic crisis because as a musician, you don't have like a payroll or anything.
Yeah.
You're pretty much like job to job. So you got to be smart. And if like you get one, like, maybe I'll have a good gig. I'll get like $400 or something. I'll be stoked and like maybe go out and drink after and spend like $100. That's like not
Right. Not
like economic crisis, or that's how you create an economic crisis, I guess.
yeah.
What's my last one? I did outside environment as well. You kind of talked about like if you're on the label and stuff. I was also thinking like if you're in, because you're outside, maybe like if in like a bad group or someone's not working well or whatnot, that like affects your work. So you kind of like to prepare for that. You kind of like got to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about the transportation that you mentioned, Troy, or like the celebrating after and blowing.
Yeah.
The money.
But I feel like that'd be
I've had paid 200 and the whole band drank a bill of like 250. So we actually owe money on like well-paying gigs. I've been there a couple times. Not good.
That's
right?
crazy. That's bad. But I feel like that's also like, well, I have like known a couple people to like play a bunch of gigs and stuff, and it's like that's just kind of like the atmosphere, because like where
Yeah,
you guys
of
like playing music, you're playing at bars or like definitely where
Yeah.
there's like a party atmosphere. So it's like of course it's just that like lifestyle, for lack of better
Yeah.
terms.
Yeah, I got smart. I just started sneaking my own alcohol in.
Yeah. The
so innovative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the professional and personal aspects of the music industry definitely the lines become blurred, and you'll see that with big artists that have a lot of a following, that they tend to lose sight of what's important, and the fact that they're like that's their livelihood, and a lot of people depend on them performing and showing up in order to like get paid at the end of the day. There's so many people that go into account when you're talking like people that are doing the production side, the lighting, transportation, publicists, managers, like all these people are relying on a single group or even a single individual to like come through, and that can be a lot if you're spending half your earnings on party or
Yeah,
Same
totally
night.
agree. All right. What does anybody know what time we're at?
yeah, we're past 20 minutes. So.
Okay. Well, and then we just have our group project as our last thing, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe we did Tuesday.
And then also,
Yeah.
wait, are we still live or are we done?
Hold on.
I think he's gonna stop it now.
All right, I just stopped it.
Yeah, there's also like rating group members. I did that the other day.
Yeah, that's due tomorrow. We just have to comment on the like leadership interviews that we did that we posted on YouTube.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And it's supposed to be for each like us like within each other's groups. I think we just have to find people's videos. And then
I think we have to comment on each other's.
Yeah, we have to comment
she
on
wants us to
different
do it in the
part.
groups. Yeah.
Okay, I commented on your guys', everybody's, and then I also read that you have to like copy and paste your comments and submit it separately in a document.
She wants it to be in a document. I was
Yeah.
like, I freaking submitted my video, and then like she was like, she gave me a 0, and I was like, why did I get a 0? And then she was like, because you have to like copy it to YouTube, and I was like, well, I recorded it on YouTube, so like,
You had to copy a link.
yeah, and then I was like,
Did you
oh,
get
okay.
credit though? Did she let like
Well,
under?
she removed it, yeah,
Okay.
because I was like,
Ooh, I need to go look
yeah.
at that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, dude, I haven't looked at that yet.
I need
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
I think I did that right.
I mean,
yeah,
it's
it's like the submission was a link.
yeah, because like I submitted mine on like Friday or something, so like it was fine. But I had emailed her the link just in case, anyways, and obviously she was like fine with it because she was like laid back. But
Oh, I
That's
got my
good.
grade.
yeah,
Mine just says T.
that she's still grading them. She says it takes her like 5 days, I think, to grade big projects like that. So
Dang.
yeah,
Okay. Well, Troy, you did it's like a Google document, is what you called it, right?
yeah, that we share.
Yeah.
on
Okay,
Judo.
cool. I'll look at that. To be totally honest, I've not opened it yet, but I will do that.
It's not due till like their last day of class, so we
Which
still have
is
like a week.
It's
Yeah,
Tuesday,
I'm probably
yeah.
gonna do my end over the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm
yeah,
gonna-
I'll look at it then too, and then we can figure out like kind of how to break it up or whatever.
All right. Sounds perfect.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Ben has it.